kindly provided by Lookout Games and designed by someone just called Gosh. This is a game for 2 to 5 players, and this is a small box card game with a picture of a fox in a forest on the box, but confusingly it isn't fox in the forest. Other foxes and forests are available. Now this kind of theme is not usually my vibe, but honestly this game is kind of just brilliant. And it's something I keep coming back to, and I've played a bunch over the last year, so it felt like it was time to make a little video about it. On each of your turns, you're going to do one of 2 things. You're either going to take 2 cards from the clearing, which is this board here, lovely little forest, or from the top of the deck. Or instead of drawing 2 cards, you can play a card from your hand into your tableau. Now at the start of the game, you can only play trees because you need to have something for the wildlife to live in. And every time anyone plants a tree, it thematically attracts some new life into the clearing, adding a card from the deck into this little forest. Each card you play from your hand to your tableau is going to have a cost that you also play in cards from your hand. I want to plant this silver fir, and that's going to cost me 2 cards, so I'm going to get rid of these. And any cards you discard go into Planet Earth's original bin. That's right, they go back into the natural world, into the clearing. So you're drawing cards into your hand, but mostly you're spending them in order to play the cards you want. Juicy ones cost more. Sorry, little piggies, you've got to go because Daddy needs this wolf. Because you're constantly drawing up cards and then discarding them almost as quickly, turns in this game are fast and the game rattles on very quickly. And as players, you build such pleasing forests in front of you, tucking these cards behind the trees so that the creatures, and sometimes, mushrooms, pop out from behind them. And as someone who really doesn't like games that are twee, I was shocked by how much I loved how cute this game is. Putting birds atop all of your trees, placing the cards so that the families of deer poke their heads out from behind each tree, it's immediately satisfying and way more evocative than you'd expect. You've got butterflies appearing in the sky, wild rabbits hopping from the clearing into your hand of cards and then behind one of your trees in one of their gigantic, terrifying families. And that all just sounds so lovely and nice, doesn't it? Well, I've got some bad news. This game is lovely and nice, but it can also be as sharp and as mean as a bad, bitter peach. And I love it. First up, you've got a hand limit of 10 cards. Sounds generous. And it would be if you were only trying to keep hold of the cards that you want to play. But I'm a real piece of work, and I can see that another player is collecting lizards, and I have some of those, and I really don't want to spend them whilst paying for cards, because they go into the clearing and they'll just snuffle them up. At the same time, I want to play a lot of these cards myself. Something has to go back, and more often than not in Forest Shuffle, you're going to end up placing a perfectly formed present for another player that you didn't want to, or you're going to have to put something from your hand that you really want and chuck it into the clearing and just hope that it's still there for you to pick up next time it's your turn. The way you're all forced to use this collective draw pile as a temporary bin is a bit like in films where someone gets rid of their beloved guitar to a pawn shop and then they say, well, they go back, oh, is it still here? No, I'm sorry. Somebody just bought that guitar. Except with this is a hedgehog. And you just go, God, I hope someone hasn't fished that hedgehog out of the bin. I need that hedgehog. Which is more relatable. A tasty way you can get around this problem of turning up and discovering your guitar/hedgehog is gone is by activating one of the types of powers that some of these cards offer when played. Some of these powers will just let you draw more cards from the deck straight away or play a creature of a certain kind without paying the cost. But most importantly of all, I think, is the kind of ability that lets you take another go immediately. 2 turns back to back, which means you spend your first turn spending some cards from your hand to play the thing, and then with your free turn, you take the cards straight back into your hand. Keep your eyes and your hands off of my hedgehogs, madam. And as you may have guessed from the minor barrage of iconography on these cards, there's a lot more going on. Cards interact with one another in thematically fun ways, and most of those spicy powers that I mentioned just a second ago, you're going to get by paying for a card when you play it using specifically just one color type of card. And as you might expect, you've got set collections that encourage you to double down and just get one type of thing. Go big on butterflies, go bat or go home. But it's actually a lot more flexible and malleable than you might expect. You can get lots of points for a unique bat collection, but sometimes you can just have a bat and then another creature that wants to be with a bat. It's not all about doubling down. There's opportunities here as well to just dabble. And it's this breadth of interconnected elements. You want the thing on this side, the thing on that side. You want it for the type of the card, to spend it for a bonus, or you just want someone else to not have that card because it makes you happy to feel that they're not going to do as well at the game because there's something wrong with us as humans and all we can do is lean into it and just try and enjoy it in a kind, soft, gentle way. But this myriad of ways that I potentially might want that means that new stuff getting dumped into the clearing is always exciting. And you'll have a good laugh about the stuff that no one wants that keeps coming back. Jog on, squirrels! Not interested! And good gosh, I've forgotten to tell you about the picante. The picante rub that makes this game spicy and special. If at any point, at the end of anyone's turn, there are more than 10 cards, 10 or more cards in the clearing, all gone. Sweep the whole thing. That's too many trees and animals. Shut the whole thing down. Those cards are gone. They are out of the game. What if you wanted one of those? What if you put something in and you were going to go back for it later? It's gone. And there's no putting those cards to one side and then shuffling this card. No. This is the deck of cards. Put throughout these, you can have 3 different winter cards. As soon as that 3rd winter card is drawn, the game ends immediately. No ifs, no buts. Done. Stop. And it means anything in the clearing that moves away, guess you'll see it next time you play the game, because that specific deer card is gone now.
And it's here, in this clearing, where the pettiness and tactical strategy of Forest Shuffle comes to life. Spotting that Karen has unceremoniously dumped a hot pair of foxes into the clearing, the proud Matthew chains together 2 turns, adding 3 more cards into the clearing, and, to the dismay of other players, all 11 cards are wiped from the game. Truly one of Planet Board Games' most dangerous predators, but also what a beautiful, beautiful bastard.
Without this frankly brutal system of sweeping away the cards, gone, this would be a pretty pedestrian card game. But this process of watching the clearing build up with animals and then becoming overpopulated and sweeping away gives the game an erratic rhythm that you go through over and over again. And much like with nature itself, there's an element of chaos there that you feel like, if you're careful, you can probably control. And obviously with more players, it's harder to get a sense of that and to engineer those moments. But it's this overlaid metagame almost of choosing your moments to flood the clearing in a way that denies your opponent's cards. Well, that's what elevates this game above just being a nice card game, and for my money, into the realms of being a flipping great one. And I didn't even mention that you've got a cave. It's a private damp bin that you can put cards into, and you get points for them at the end of the game, a point per card. Gotta love a damp hole. Certain cards let you put loads of cards into your cave all at once, and that's great, because there's an almost arboretum vibe of early in the game, taking a bunch of cards, putting them into the cave, and then those cards are out of the game, and no one else knows that apart from you. Watch other people scrambling around trying to make sets that they will struggle to. This is such a mean game. Either that or I'm just a really terrible person. I don't know. Answers on the back of a stamped addressed envelope, but you should put it to the bin, because I don't care, because I'm evil. Etc. Having said that, despite the fact that you've got opportunities for always trying to be a little bit mean and a little bit denying people things, there are enough duplicates of things in this game that mostly, unless people are going for something that's super rare, it's more for your satisfaction rather than actually to the detriment of other people in a meaningful way. Unless you're really good at denying everything, in which case, ha 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 ha. But I'd say that this game it isn't as mean and crunchy as something like Arboretum. It's maybe not a lighter game, but certainly a lighter feeling game. Sounds like I'm advertising a cheese spread, but hopefully you get what I mean. The fact that when you're playing with fewer players, for example, you're actually removing cards from the deck means that in a space where usually a game like this might become really mean and head-to-head, it actually becomes a little bit more vibesy than maths-based, which frankly suits me just fine. Shut Up Sit Down recommends Forest Shuffle because it is fast, delightful, and has just enough room around the edges to let you play it and feel like an evil genius. And despite the card iconography being sometimes, frankly, a bit much, I still think this game is largely light enough to play it with most folks. That's partially down to the theming here. People will put up with listening to more rules if it means that afterwards they'll get to put a pig behind a tree. But also, everyone already knows that wolves are likely to interact with deer, so you don't have to read out a paragraph to players about the Broblin Lords and their ongoing war with Kerflufflia. That's why you get 8 points for a Kerflufflian warlord. But mainly it's that the design of this game is supportive more than it is restrictive. The optional spikiness of combos and clever plays provides that spice for the folks like myself who want it. But if you want to play this game with people, you just tell them you either pick up 2 cards or you pay the cost of the animal you want to play that card behind a tree. That's mostly it. I mean, you won't get a great score, but much more importantly, you also won't have those dreadful moments when you're playing a game and someone goes, oh, I'll do this, and you have to say, no, sorry, no, you can't do that. Which is honestly the thing that puts most people off games. Forest Shuffle is a game that lets players engage with it on their own terms. And because the scoring is all about savvy choices and very specific interactions, it doesn't have that board game problem where the person who is winning is really obviously winning. Up until the last part of the game where you crunch all the numbers, everyone's just sort of putting animals behind trees. And when we're done, yeah, sure, I've absolutely crushed you with my hedgehog-based synergies. But, I think I get it now. Can we play again? Yeah, we can play again. And this time I'm gonna crush you with an army of small pigs. And if you want to assemble an army of small pigs, invest in pork futures today. But if you think that, while it all sounds good on paper, you probably don't want to assemble an elite squadron of piglets, then you could instead donate to Shut Up and Sit Down. We don't accept pork coins or traditional money in exchange for our reviews. We're mostly just supported by literally you. And arguably, we need the money a lot more than pigs, who I've heard don't even have pockets. And finally, a few other games that might tickle your fancy in a similar vein. If you want to make a big tableau of plants and things, then Earth is much fiddlier than this, but very satisfying. A heady explosion of opportunities and combos and soil, oh my. Also, probably unavailable for a bit, but if you want a game about ecosystems and creatures and weird plants springing into life, then check out our review of Earthborn Rangers. It might not be for you, but good gosh, that game is something. And that's Forest Shuffle. I pointed the box again, but it fell on the floor and I can't reach it. And that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. See you in the forest.